Many fantasy gamers right now are having trouble setting lineups. They're looking at their team and they're wondering what to do, especially at the wide receiver position. Today I'm going to drop my top 40 wide receiver rankings for week 5. This is going to help you out in fantasy, and if this is something you're into, I suggest you hit that subscribe button right now. Just give that a little tap, because I'll update these ranks later in the week as we get more information. So if this is something you're into, I suggest you stick around. But let's go ahead and dig into these numbers here. So first things first, when we go over the rankings, we go over the over-unders for the week. And the reason why is we just want to look to see which game's supposed to be a higher point total and which one's supposed to be a lower. Which game is supposed to produce more fantasy contributors, which one's supposed to pick less. I got these numbers from OddsShark. It's an average from a bunch of books. They're from yesterday even, so some of these numbers could change. They can change from injuries or whatnot. But we're just looking to see what games implied to be higher scoring, which games are supposed to be lower scoring. And then from that, if you want to just guess which ones are supposed to hit the over and be higher than what they're supposed to be or lower, that's on you. That's on what you're doing. But I use this as a gauge mostly. I don't use it by book, but I use it as a gauge. Moving on here, let's go over the top 10. The first thing I want to say, you're starting all these guys. It doesn't matter if you're ranked 1. It doesn't matter if you're ranked 10 on this sheet. You're starting all these guys. Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, they're always 1A and 1B. That's just how it is. Doesn't even matter the matchup. These aren't the sexiest matchups for both these players, but they're always up there. Stephon Diggs and Devonta Adams are always close behind. Deebo Samuel, even with the 49ers, he just figures out how to make points. And even in bad matchups, he figures out how to get it done. A.J. Brown, I may be too low on it, but you can't be too low at 6 anyways. Target guy. This is going to be a higher scoring game here against Arizona. If you notice, I don't have the over-unders and the spread on the side. That's because my spreadsheet's messed up. So let me know if there's a player missing, because that could be happening here. And I apologize if there is. Just ask me down below, especially if it's like a top 10, top 20 guy. Jamar Chase, always going to be in the top 10 just due to how burst he is, his target share. Big matchup here against Baltimore on Sunday night. CeeDee Lamb's been getting a lot of targets. Doesn't even matter who's quarterback. Doesn't matter the matchup. He's going to get volume, and that's what we're chasing. Tyreek Hill's in an interesting situation. He saw bulk of the targets once Bridgewater came in. Tua's going to be out. Could be a lower scoring game here against the Jets, but it doesn't matter here with the Dolphins, because if Hill's getting a deep target, if he gets just a little bit of room after the catch, he could be a splash for you. Mike Evans, air yards guy, consistency, and he's a guy you just always want to bet on. I like the matchup against Atlanta. Atlanta's just one of those teams that just gets some funky matchups. They've been a little bit more run-heavy as of late. They've been a little bit slower. Tampa Bay is a little bit slower. Maybe moving Evans a little bit down here soon, now that I think about the game script. But since he gets deep targets, that is something you want to chase. Next 10. And here's where things get a little bit jumbled up. Christian Kirk is underrated right now, getting a good target share, fantasy viable, good producer. T. Higgins getting one-on-one situations because of Chase, and he's capitalizing on it. Cortland Sutton, we really need a little bit more out of him, but he's also been producing as well. Interesting matchup against Indy. Jalen Waddle, same thing as Tyreek Hill, but once Bridgewater came in, he was getting a little bit less targets, so that's something you want to keep an eye on, but it could change in this game script here against New York. Marquise Brown, might be sleeping on him a bit because he can be a top 12 producer pretty easily. Air yards guy, volume guy, gets you yards after the catch with that speed. That's just what he does. He is a nightmare. DK Metcalf, I'm a little bit higher on him than Consensus. Consensus has him down a little bit lower, but I feel like what we saw from last week, you can't sleep on him because he's got that speed. He's able to get downfield and those deep air yards. And Geno Smith, I know he's not the greatest quarterback, but he's able to fuel these guys a little bit. Mike Williams, Chargers, target share against Cleveland. Slower game, but still enough to get an impact here. Drake London, Chris Olave, got the two rookies here. Olave against Seattle could be a very interesting matchup. Drake London getting a decent target share, but could be in a lower scoring game here against Tampa. We have to wait and see. Michael Pittman. We saw him do some things earlier this year We were expecting a lot. We could see that here against Denver tomorrow night. Moving on here, the next 10, 21 to 30. Brandon Cooks, air yards, target share. He is not producing to his spec. I mean, he's getting a lot of volume, but one day that's going to hit. That could be against Jacksonville, divisional game. On the road, though, got to see what happens there. Amari Cooper. This could be a good game for him. I could be sleeping on him here at 22 against the Chargers. Might have to push the ball against them. So, Amari Cooper might outproduce for my ranking here. Terry McLaurin, air yards. Can he live up to it? He hasn't been yet. Against Tennessee, could be a slower game. Could impact that a little bit. Jerry Jeudy, just an interesting wide receiver 2 here who could do good things with volume. Could the volume be there? I don't know. Chris Godwin's making the list. Let's see what happens with him. And we got to check in with how he is going to be this week. Josh Reynolds. The thing about this matchup is at New England, and I believe this is going to be a slower paced game. Patriots are just running in and out of quarterbacks right now, and I could see this game being a little bit slower. Next is Tyler Lockett, downfield guy, getting air yards, and if you're getting target share, that's going to help. I don't know if we're going to see him be consistent with this amount of production, but it could happen against New Orleans because this seems like the perfect game for them to air it out. Gabe Davis versus Pittsburgh. I want to see Gabe Davis healthy. If he's not healthy, he's not out there. Obviously, he's off the list, but we'll know come the next set of rankings. Deontay Johnson's low. I want to move him up, but it's getting hard to when you got this ambiguity at quarterback. Again, targets could be there. Volume could be there. He does have the ability to pump up his production, but also, on the flip side, he could give you the floor as well. That's not good. Romeo Doubs against New York. New York's a bad game script, slower game, but again, touches, targets, volume could allow him to outproduce this ranking here. Next, 10 here. With Doubs, I had Lazard right beside him because either one of them can splash. Curtis Samuel, because you know what? You never know which commander's going to hit. Jahan Dotson, Mclaurin, Samuel. Samuel started off hot. Jahan Dotson getting his thing. Terry McLaurin needs to really produce with his workload here, but Samuel can't sleep on him either. I might bump him up a little bit, but it's hard. It's hard with these receivers with Washington. Devonta Smith. Sometimes it's a Devonta Smith game with Philly. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's an A.J. Brown special here. Devonta Smith is a guy that could go boom on you at any given week. Funny DFS play every single week. Brandon Ayuk, target share going up. New quarterback in. But against Carolina, it could be a slower game script. Decent ranking here. I could make the case to bump him up a little bit, though. Rashad Bateman, 35 overall. I seem light on him. But when you got a tight end getting almost a 40% target share and you got a running quarterback, it's really hard to endorse him and feel good about it. But at 35, most people are still starting him. And I suggest you think about starting him. Good flex play, good wide receiver 2/3 option here for this week. And I think he can go boom against Cincy, and I think he can give you some production. But if it goes to the tight ends, it ain't happening. Adam Thielen, just because the Vikings like to throw the ball a lot. Garrett Wilson, I could just really see him stepping things up. I think he's very good, very smooth, and one of those rookies that I always want to have in some of my lineups. And I'm in a lot of leagues, so remember that. When I say in some of my lineups, that means like some out of like 202. Juju Smith-Schuster, because Patrick Mahomes go burr. DJ Moore, because target share and air yards, but it's not happening. Robert Woods, because Treylon Burks is going to be out, but that's our top 44 right now. It's early in the week. This could get switched up quite a bit, so I suggest you stick close to the channel, because when I drop the tiers and rankings come Thursday and Friday, you're ready for it. I'm going to be dropping my running backs again here, maybe tomorrow. I might even drop the wide receivers even again tomorrow. I don't know. But it's happening. Once I adjust for more information, I'll fix up these ranks and put them into tiers for you guys like I do every week. I'm also going to drop trade options for wide receiver and waiver wire and trade pickups for running back pinned below in the comments section, so I suggest you check those out. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.